Every parent's greatest nightmare came true on May 3, 2007, when the McCann family party went awry. Madeleine McCann, their 3-year-old daughter, vanished from her room and hasn't been seen or heard from for nearly 2 decades. Madeleine's disappearance sparked intense curiosity from people all across the world, but despite years of diligent investigation, nobody understood what had happened to her. However, recent news reports claim that Madeleine has been located. Is this an instance of identity theft or the truth? Let's enter completely. The disappearance of Madeleine McCann startled people everywhere. She vanished from a holiday house in Praia da Luz, Portugal, when she was just 3 years old. Madeleine was born on May 12, 2003, in Leicester, England. She was a cheerful, intelligent, and gregarious girl. Her family was on vacation at the Ocean Club Resort in Portugal only a few days before her 4th birthday, when a horrible incident occurred. Her parents, Jerry and Kate McCann, went to a nearby tapas restaurant to eat, while the 2-year-old twins, Shaw and Emily, and Madeleine, were put to bed. However, the restaurant did not have a direct view of the children's room. From where they sat, trees and shrubs obscured their view of the apartment. The parents and their friends visited the children multiple times during the night to ensure their safety. Around 9 o'clock at night, one of those checks took place. Approximately 9:05 p.m. He returned to the room for one of his routine inspections. In contrast to how they had left it, he noticed that the door was somewhat open. However, upon entering, he discovered that all 3 of the children were fast asleep. On his way back to dinner, he paused to chat with another visitor. Approximately 9:30 p.m. While watching his own children in the flat next door, Matthew Oldfield, a friend of the children, volunteered to watch the McCann children. He glanced inside, but did not go all the way inside. He then informed Kate and Jerry that everything appeared to be in order. At 10 o'clock, Kate left the table and went back to the apartment to see how the children were doing. The door to the children's room was ajar when she entered. She attempted to close it slightly, but a blast of wind caused it to smash shut. She was afraid and walked into the room to see how the children were doing. Kate then opened the bedroom door gently and searched for Madeleine in the dark, saying, "I thought I might have left the patio doors open, but I hadn't. I know it sounds silly, but I didn't turn on the light." "You try not to wake your kids up," she replied. It dawned on her then that Madeleine was absent. Kate feared Madeleine might have entered her bedroom while she was partly asleep, so she hurriedly investigated her own bedroom, but she was also not there. Kate rushed back to the children's room to see it because she was afraid. The blinds were off and the window was ajar. It was then that she realized the awful truth: Madeleine had been stolen. "I quickly ran around the apartment," when Kate rushed to the restaurant and cried, "Madeleine's gone!" she said. "I knew what had happened, but I was desperate." This triggered a warning that resulted in an almost 2-decade-long manhunt around the globe. The resort community went into overdrive when the 3-year-old child vanished, searching everywhere for her. However, despite the fact that many people worked rapidly, she was nowhere to be seen. It proved to be a horrific nightmare that would haunt the McCann family for years and shock people around. News of the case immediately spread throughout the globe. News websites worldwide reported on every new detail. The first several years after her disappearance were delayed because it was difficult for the Portuguese and British police to communicate with one another. The Portuguese police officers were the subject of many negative remarks. Many believed that they were too slow to call for assistance from police in other nations. As time passed, British police encountered difficulties when they began to assist with certain aspects of the case. Cultural and job-related differences occasionally made it difficult for the Portuguese and British police to work together. The Portuguese police initially believed Madeleine might have escaped or been abducted by an unknown individual. However, the case soon took a stronger and distinct turn. Initially believed to be guilty, Madeleine's parents were subsequently declared not guilty. Time that could have been spent looking for additional hints was wasted by this detour. This case has demonstrated the value of international cooperation and the need for improved, transparent, and effective procedures in missing person cases. This is particularly true when multiple nations are engaged. Dealing with a youngster who has been transported across lines is considerably more difficult. It is difficult for police from other nations to cooperate because of laws, customs, and cultural differences. It may be more difficult to follow the hints and take longer to tackle certain issues. For instance, the first Portuguese inquiry failed to obtain tangible evidence from Madeleine's room at the hotel where the family slept because they did not adequately preserve the scene. Despite the numerous issues and challenges, the main question from the entire investigation was what actually happened to Madeleine McCann. The recent study from Germany came into play here. They were investigating 38 of the 60 people they were interested in. They requested permission from Portuguese authorities to search 3 locations, but they were only permitted to search 1. The focus of this new investigation was Christian Bruckner, a German who is currently incarcerated for various other offenses. The resurgence of interest in Bruckner in Germany revitalized the study. At the time of Madeleine's case, Bruckner had already been found guilty of serious crimes in other European countries. He resided in Portugal's Algarve, which is also where Madeleine vanished. Bruckner lived in the Algarve for a large portion of his life. Because he was a drifter, he was both a sex offender and a minor. Everything appeared to be coming together. It appeared as though the puzzle would finally be solved. Bruckner has already been found guilty of numerous offenses, including child abuse in 1994 and 2016. As time passed, he was connected in several unsettling ways to the night Madeleine vanished. In 2020, Bruckner was formally designated a suspect by Deutsche Polizei. In Praia da Luz, where the McCann family was staying the night Madeleine vanished, he received a call on his cell phone. Other indicators started to appear along with the phone records. According to reports, Bruckner had said some odd things to acquaintances, leading them to believe he might be connected to Madeleine's disappearance. Police have since searched residences linked to him in Portugal and Germany. For those who have been following the story for a long time, Bruckner is generally considered the most plausible suspect. His prior offenses, the fact that he was in the region, and other hints have sparked a lot of interest in him. Without Madeleine's body or solid forensic evidence, it is still very difficult to establish guilt. We should be really concerned about Bruckner's background if he is the one who took Madeleine. It raises the question of whether there are sufficient laws to prevent repeat offenses by those with comparable criminal histories. Bruckner has been in legal issues for a long time. His ability to travel throughout Europe over the years demonstrates how difficult it is for law enforcement to track down dangerous individuals once they are on the loose. Some things may be explained by the potential connection between Madeleine's and Bruckner's absences, but not all of them. Many details of what transpired that night are likely to remain unknown, regardless of whether he is found guilty or not. One of the most difficult things for families in the same situation is the absence of definitive solutions. Even though knowing the truth hurts, there are instances when it hurts more to not know than to know. Has Madeleine McCann been located? She may have been murdered, according to Germany's top lawyer. This agent was employed by the Bundeskriminalamt, the American equivalent of the FBI. It was he who initially proposed Bruckner as a potential suspect. According to him, there is sufficient evidence to declare the girl dead and to accuse a certain individual of murder. He didn't make that choice on his own. Nobody is truly aware of Madeleine's fate after over 2 decades. However, a man who once knew the primary suspect, Bruckner, just came forward for the first time. He provided police with crucial information that led them to believe Bruckner was guilty, so we're calling him Helgi B. Bruckner is currently incarcerated in Germany for causing harm to an elderly woman. Helgi B. claimed in an interview with a German newspaper that he and Bruckner had a peculiar conversation. Police in Britain, Portugal, and Germany have been trying to determine Madeleine's fate for many years, but they still lack a lot of concrete evidence. Nothing new was discovered during a fresh search near a lake close to where she vanished. Another significant issue in this case, and many others, is that the police must go through a lot of material. Reports and suggestions are sent in from all over the world. Each and every one must be examined. Each piece of evidence must be examined. Even the strongest police forces can be undermined by a large number of people. Madeleine's acquaintances reported seeing her in Morocco, Australia, and the United States. Every report required some sort of action, which is time-consuming and labor-intensive. According to Helgi B., he witnessed footage of Bruckner mistreating women in his apartment. A year after Madeleine vanished, they reunited at an event in Spain, and he told Bruckner, "I couldn't believe it." If he still conducted business in Portugal, she inquired. At this point, Helgi B. claimed that there were excessive police checks following the disappearance of the British girl, which led to the loss of Madeleine McCann. The following day, Bruckner failed to come. He then said, "I don't get how the little girl could just disappear." Bruckner responded, "She didn't even scream." Helgi claims to have grasped Bruckner's meaning. He began to believe Bruckner had more insight into Madeleine's experiences. He claimed that despite his repeated attempts to call the London police, he never received a response. In 2018, after many years, he received a call from German police asking for witnesses to testify about what they saw on the home tapes. Bruckner may have intended to break into the McCann's vacation apartment, but he took Madeleine instead after discovering the children sleeping. However, he believes Madeleine is dead and that Bruckner is the one who abducted her. Probably not anything Bruckner had planned, he remarked. Despite their best efforts, the British and Portuguese police conducted their own independent inquiries. Private agents from outside the police department became involved for this reason. Despite their efforts and financial investment, no better solutions have been discovered. The German police decided to move in with the few evidence they had on Bruckner because of this. Bruckner was aware of this, because following his detention, he wrote to a news outlet and stated, "There are no answers to the questions that really count. On the night of the crime, was your vehicle or mine visible close to the scene? Does the crime scene contain any DNA evidence of me? Does the individual who was injured in my automobile have any DNA traces? Do I have any other traces, DNA carriers, or pictures of the person who was harmed?" The question, "Is there a body? Corpse? Oh no," may have seemed like a joke, but it would ultimately benefit the suspect. It was decided by the prosecutors to try Bruckner for unrelated charges of rape and attempted kidnapping. However, Bruckner was declared not guilty by the German court. He was also found not guilty of unrelated sexual offenses that allegedly occurred in Portugal between 2000 and 2017. Everyone involved in the case is aware that Helgi B's claims must be supported by concrete evidence. In this instance, the internet continues to play a significant role. Around the same time as individuals began to use social networks and online chat rooms extensively, Madeleine disappeared. These new tools would allow the public to participate in the case. While some online communities disseminated news and helpful advice, others disseminated incorrect information or theories that lacked supporting data. Guesses concerning identity theft, child trafficking, and even bizarre conspiracy theories have been offered over the years. Indeed, several claim to have seen Madeleine in various locations. On the one hand, public assistance provided useful information. However, it confused matters further and distracted from objective evidence. Furthermore, the role of the media in this instance cannot be overlooked. Every new event was thoroughly investigated by reporters. Because of all the attention, both positive and negative things transpired. It did, in a sense, keep the case in the spotlight. On the other hand, Madeleine's parents were always stressed. They suffered a great deal of mental anguish, and their reputations were damaged by some press reports that contained false information. People were highly critical of the family, but they also felt a lot of sympathy for them. Why the McCanns left their children alone in the apartment while they went to eat nearby was a mystery to many. Others wondered what would have happened if Madeleine hadn't been under surveillance at those crucial moments. But the McCanns never gave up. Their strength and the enthusiasm of people worldwide allowed the research to continue. Jerry McCann and Kate McCann have been adamant. They have been incredibly resilient during this awful period because of their fervent belief that their daughter Madeleine may still be alive. However, since 2025, they have been receiving unfavorable news. The latest searches by police investigating Madeleine's disappearance are coming to a close. In an area on the outskirts of Lagos, Portugal, police were reportedly observed using pitchforks to scour the field for 3 days. There are several bushes and deserted buildings in the vicinity of the crime site. No British police officials were present during the most recent searches. Instead, firefighters and German and Portuguese police officers dug through parts of the shrubs with shovels and pickaxes. Debris from one of the site's abandoned buildings was also removed using a digger. For 2 days, people have been concentrating on a single abandoned building, clearing the area of rubbish and vegetation with chainsaws and a digger before employing ground-penetrating radar on the uneven terrain. The police were hoping to gather evidence against Bruckner, which is why they are upset. If he is not charged again, he will be released in September. LGB even mentioned that the investigators had not found any evidence. Madeleine's parents may have some hope because they say, "They have to do something quickly because time is running out. Bruckner could get out of jail in September, and he will not be seen again." When the hunt for evidence was complete, neither Jerry nor Kate spoke. They are not to blame. Not long ago, they did post something on their website. What they pinned: "We would like to express our gratitude to all of our supporters for their unwavering support and for never forgetting about Madeleine on the 18th anniversary of her disappearance. The years appear to be passing even more quickly. Although we don't have any significant news to report, we're committed to learning as much as we can. We will do every effort to achieve this." Since this is still one of the saddest and most bizarre disappearance instances in recent history, they must still have a lot of optimism. Ultimately, the McCann case serves as a powerful reminder of the significance of prioritizing child safety at all times. People are hopeful that fresh information will surface that will either resolve the issue or provide answers to their questions.